Modern Self-Attitudes through the 20 Statements Test. The 20 Statements Test, or TST, was originally developed by Manfred Kuhn and Thomas McPartland, who wanted to do further research on George Mead's sociological theory. Mead's concept of the social self involves that every person is the product of social interaction rather than biological or genetic factors. The aim of the study proposed that any self-attitude could be assessed by asking a participant to characterize him or herself. The responses were categorized as either consensual, statements that require no further explanation, or subconsensual, statements that require interpretation and place the participant relative to others. Kuhn later developed 4 major subgroups, which were physical descriptions, social roles, personality traits, and abstract responses. The aim of my own study was to investigate how adolescent men characterize themselves based on a self-attitude test. In my experiment, I chose 20 male participants around the ages of 16 to 18. After completing an ethics sign-off sheet, I passed out paper and asked them to write, "Who am I?" at the top of the page. Then I instructed to write 20 different answers to the simple question. Answer as if you were reading it. Order and logic are not important. Go along fairly fast. You have 10 minutes. After gathering the data, I reviewed the responses. 12 out of the 20 participants answered with more subconsensual than consensual responses, which greatly contrasted the original claims. In fact, more than 57% of all responses were subconsensual. The next subcategories were somewhat harder to decipher: physical, social, personality, or abstract. Kuhn believed that younger people describe themselves with personality traits, whereas older people feel more defined based on their social roles. Overall, about half of the responses were considered to be a social role. A little less than 1/3 of the answers were a personality trait, and less than 1/5 were deemed physical descriptions. The results from my study greatly contrasted the original experiment. Kuhn and McPartland claimed that there would be more consensual responses, which was quite the opposite. This suggests that adolescent males typically characterize themselves based on more descriptive terms and compare themselves to others. Maturity may also affect the way a person views themselves. The 20 Statements Test is one of the only that is able to quantify results and use data in order to understand a person's self-concept.